get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
and at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
To be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and just
Imagine Joe Rogan and Coleman Hughes pulling up to The View with the energy of two guys coming to fix a leaky faucet only to end up flooding the entire house with logic. No yelling, no name-calling, just calm, surgical takedowns that left the hosts blinking like they'd forgotten their lines. It's always the quiet ones. And these two just transformed daytime drama into a masterclass in composure. Want to see how it all unraveled? Oh, you're going to want to sit down for this one?
Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV,
crazy.
she said
on television.
Just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything. Yeah. You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in.
Of The View were busy reenacting an emotional breakdown over coffee mugs and cue cards. Rogan and Hughes were calmly somewhere else, entirely them with intellect without even setting foot on set. It was the roast equivalent of a sniper shot from 3 time zones away. No screaming, no table flipping, no dramatic sighs, strong enough to shatter glassware, just precision-guided logic, lobbed from the podcast realm like a stealth missile with perfect aim.
Strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting, because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course.
Triggered this beautifully detached annihilation. The View, in its trademark midday meltdown fashion, went full foghorn and fire with sweeping declarations about politics, race, and cultural grievances, all performed with the subtlety of a marching band at a funeral. Somewhere in that emotional casserole came digs aimed at anti-woke men, and guess whose names bubbled up on Twitter? That's right, Joe Rogan and Coleman Hughes, aka the intellectual avengers of calm rebuttal.
You on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days.
Yeah, is that annoying?
No.
No?
No, I mean, it's just, when I was on there, I really had no idea how it was going to land with the audience. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character.
They were. Rogan was probably deadlifting while recording a podcast. Coleman likely dissecting Enlightenment philosophy while ironing a button-down, and somewhere in between. Both men took a moment to weigh in on The View's latest chaos parade. Joe spoke, first because of course he did. And in typical Rogan fashion, it wasn't a rant or a flame war. No, it was worse for The View anyway. It was calm, controlled, lethal.
Being honest with you, because I want to believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right, and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you?
He's never voted for a Republican.
You've said that you're a conservative.
No, I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats. Although I'm an independent, I would vote for a Republican, probably a non-Trump Republican if they were compelling. I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here. And I think it's better, and it would be better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than
But
make it
that's-
about me.
Kind of calm that makes your enemies more nervous than a bag of cats at a dog show. Rogan basically described The View as part daytime soap, part improv class where everyone's allergic to facts. These weren't discussions, they were performances, not for thinkers but for Twitter clout and applause breaks. Then came Hughes. So chill, he made Rogan look like he was about to burst a vein. No sarcasm needed, just data. Cold, merciless data, graphs, stats, and receipts, each one calmly highlighting how The View discusses race and politics with the depth of a kiddie pool in July. The most savage part. Neither of them even showed up to the set. They dismantled The View from the comfort of their own platforms. It was like beating a video game boss with one hand while making a SMOOTHIE. But
With
it's
no-
not about
no
you,
evidence
but
that I've
I
been
just, I
co-opted.
want to give you the opportunity to respond to the,
I appreciate it.
the criticism.
I appreciate being co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying. I'm saying it because I feel it.
Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He
believes in dragons?
He believes in dragons.
Joey
what this is.
Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just
She
heard
said I
about it.
checked it. I checked it. And then the lady goes, "Did you double check it?" She goes, "I checked it. He believes in dragons."
Should be like
You think they live
Sasquatch,
alongside of
bitch.
people?
Wait,
It was from a wildlife biologist who came away.
especially took issue with The View's cartoonishly absurd war on male opinions. He wasn't offended, he was amused. According to Rogan, the show has mastered the art of confusing disagreement with disrespect, logic with aggression, and facts with oppression. And when you twist reality that far, you end up with a table full of millionaires pretending they're under siege by a guy with a podcast mic and a functional brain. Coleman Ever, The Quiet Storm, explained the real danger. The View doesn't thrive on truth or dialogue. It thrives on conflict disguised as commentary. They don't want nuance. They want villains. And Rogan and Hughes. Public enemy number one. Calm, articulate, data-driven, men The View's worst nightmare. Next.
Right, that the anti-racism movement, that is just another form of racism, and you even say it has a lot in common with white supremacy. How can you compare those two things?
They both view your race as extremely significant part of who you are. Neo-racists like Rob D'Angelo, they say that to be white is to be ignorant. Well, this is a racial stereotype, and I want to call a spade and say this is not the style of anti-racism we have to be teaching our kids. We should be teaching them that your race is not a significant feature of who you are. Who you are is your character, your value, and your skin color doesn't say anything about it.
Funny. Instead of responding with substance, The View defaulted to their favorite setting, performative victimhood. Suddenly they were under attack, not directly. Of course, Rogan and Hughes were too composed for that, but the implication was enough to send the table into a full meltdown. Think fire alarm in a yoga studio. Instead of engaging, the hosts tiptoed around criticism like it was a stove left on. Out came the buzzwords: privilege, misinformation, fragile masculinity. It was like a round of woke buzzword bingo. Meanwhile, Rogan chuckled, a soft laugh, the kind that says, "Oh honey, you're not ready." Coleman probably opened Excel and began color-coding every logical fallacy aired that morning. This wasn't a debate. It was an audit.
Show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
So we had 8 minutes, and America's approach to race, pretty big topic, pretty important topic.
I think the way you,
So-
before you start, I think the way you described it is,
Voice now, imagine being roasted that thoroughly by two people who didn't even show up to your meltdown. It's like challenging someone to a duel, and they send back a thesis paper instead. The View couldn't counter with facts, so they tried fist sand, ended up shadowboxing an empty room. Twitter had a field day. Memes sprouted like mushrooms. One had Rogan as Gandalf whispering reason into a horde of shrieking Hobbit hosts. Another showed Coleman reading how to win arguments without ever acknowledging The View exists. This wasn't about scoring clout, it was about revealing something deeper. The View doesn't engage in conversation. They manufacture outrage. And Rogan and Hughes just exposed that in one swoop.
A if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
you don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's
dumb.
deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked, half baked, and you went on stage with it and just
Next voice. Forget facts. Just stir the pot and scream about it. That's the Views brand. Joe Rogan. He's not in the outrage business. He wants long-form conversations that actually uncover meaning. But that's like bringing Socrates to a food fight. Then there's Coleman. Laser-focused on reasoned dialogue while everyone else is chasing hashtags. He doesn't need slogans. He wants solutions. And meanwhile, The View flails in an echo chamber of recycled takes, clapping like toddlers at a tantrum parade. The contrast, hilarious. Rogan and Hughes School collected, thoughtful. The View table slam city powered by chaotic energy that could run Six Flags.
I had 8 minutes to deal with this topic on one of the biggest platforms in the country, and especially an audience that isn't my typical audience. If anything, the Views audience is really who needs to hear my message the most. And Sunny decided to take up a few minutes of that precious 8 minutes and attack me as someone who's been co-opted by the right and someone who's a charlatan. And
did she use the term charlatan?
she did, and it's funny because I actually didn't notice it in real time. I kind of went in one ear and out.
Rogan and Hughes. Break down an issue while The View collapses over trivia is like watching someone try to light a campfire by yelling at wetwood. The View is all emotion, no foundation. joeandcoleman.com as a crisp fall morning, clear, sharp, and slightly too intelligent for comfort. Picture a split screen, the hosts flailing, while Joe and Coleman sipped coffee and dropped logic bombs, like they're teaching a college seminar. This wasn't a fight, it was a mercy killing. YouTube comments said it best. The View just got dismantled by two guys who didn't even raise their voices. No drama, no drag out. Just
That
a
show,
quiet
you want to talk about a show that
masterclass.
set women back is The View. You want to talk about that show? If the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No.
The X.
Hughes treated The View's collapse like a speed bump on their commute to better ideas. That's the difference between thinkers and performers. While The View clutches their mugs and cries censorship, Rogan and Coleman moved on. No grand finale. No milking the drama. Just one and done analysis so sharp it left the show spiraling. One host whose name rhymes with who's threw some vague shade about toxic podcasters, which is rich coming from a show that's basically a Botoxed podcast with studio lighting and applause signs. At this point, The View isn't debating, they're flailing at shadows.